All right, part 2, the Hemi Gremmie is gonna happen. Apparently, the commitment that I've been like had my arm twisted is that it has to do burnouts by the end of this episode. If you didn't see the last episode of Roadkill, you don't know that we are finally building one of my long-term dreams. It's the Hemi Gremmie. Yep, this is our 1975 AMC Gremlin that we're turning into a full-on 1970s street freak. We've dropped the body onto a modified Model A chassis, and we're stuffing a 426 Hemi under what's left of the hood. It's kind of the same as the last time you saw it, except we sent it off to Lucky. He put a fuel tank in the back, like a basic boat tank, and plumbed half of that and plumbed half the brakes, and it's on us. We got a lot to do. Yeah, all that's left is everything. Which is why we brought Andrew and Matt back in order to help us out. Okay, ready? I just wanna, you go that way, I'll go this way, and yeah. Whoops. Wow, look at the organization right there. Yeah, when the project is this huge, it will not fit on an ordinary pizza box. Yeah, there's a lot of really big stuff that needs to happen. Remember on the last episode, we were working with the front suspension, we had that transverse leaf spring that was collapsing? Well, it's now actually bent all of its brackets on the front axle from being trailered to Lucky's and back. All the steering's gonna have to change, which is on the same list. Headers are gonna have to get made, wiring, drive shaft, plumbing. Oh, just getting the intake manifold installed and all of the linkage and all the plumbing to that is gonna be big. I have to change out the transmission to a different one that Gearstar sent that's full manual valve body, and everything else is just little itty bitty stuff. Tunnel ram time. We're gonna install the base for real. Dun, dun, dun. I like this part. Looking good. This manifold we're installing is an early 70s Y-end. And you could get a lid for these that would take Dominators, but I'm using a couple of 4150s, the smaller footprint carburetor. Dude, magnesium would be cool. One of the things about these Hemi manifolds and also about Windsor Fords is because the angle of the manifold sits like this, but the bolts are straight up and down, you have to like tighten them really, really carefully, and you have to go around and around and around and around in circles. Just when you think they're all tight, go around again. All right, let's tear the front suspension off. We're gonna touch the ground. The first suspension I tried on this thing was a transverse leaf spring, which is like old school street roddy kind of stuff. It's like original Model A stuff, and unfortunately, we didn't calculate that the Hemi was gonna be this heavy and this far forward to the axle, and there's just no way that it's ever going to work. So we're gonna end up taking the entire front axle out of this, and the transverse leaf spring, and these hairpins that locate the front end, and we're gonna replace it all with another straight axle and some leaf springs, parallel leafs, just like a 4x4. The thing is, with the transverse leaf, you need these hairpins to locate the axle, whereas the leaf springs themselves locate the axle both, you know, this way and this way and this way. So it's a much simpler setup. It also distributes the weight over 4 points on the frame instead of having 1 point in the middle just riding on the axle on these brackets, which, by the way, have already bent. So we're just gonna get all this stuff out of here. All we have to do is take off the spring from the middle and take these off, and the whole junk comes out. Yeah. There we go. Boom. Easy. Okay. You got all the shims and everything all lined up? Not yet. And as soon as you get that in, this thing's flipping off the jack stands. Yeah, kind of figured that. Okay, you want to put the stands back here for safety. Mine won't go in.
I'm just gonna set it on the leaf.
Oh.
It'll slide on the leaf.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, just like that for now, just so we can see how much it moves.
Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. So what we're doing right now is just mocking up, putting some weight on the springs to find out how much they collapse when we have the load on them so that we can sort of eyeball all of this stuff together all at the same time. We also need to figure out if our new steering linkage, which is gonna go to the front of the axle instead of behind the axle, is gonna end up interfering with the springs. And we also need to guesstimate the steering angle and make sure that the tires aren't hitting the springs where we want to mount them outboard of the frame. Boy, there's a lot of stuff to consider on like the simplest suspension ever, but we'll get it slowly.
Oh, yeah.
Spring's getting longer. Oh, there we go. Woo, okay. I thought it was gonna go all the way.
Those look good.
And now it's basically 5 inch. It moved roughly 3/4 of an inch.
It's tall.
Okay, we've got the leaf springs mocked up in here, and we actually have weight on the spring by smashing it on the underside of the frame. Everything is supported on jack stands as far as the axle and everything, so the ride height isn't 100% accurate right now, but you can see it's way too high. So we've been able to determine how much that leaf spring is gonna squish and where we want to mount the top of the leaf spring to get our ride height to be correct. Okay, Matt just mocked up these outriggers that are hanging the leaf spring, and we have the full weight on the car, and the stance is actually really good. So I think instead of doing more measuring and thinking and figuring and squaring, we're just gonna weld it in because that's always the best answer. So he's gonna zap, and then we have to start worrying about shocks and steering box and steering column and all that stuff. Now that the leaf springs are hung, we've got the axle centered this way in the vehicle just by taking a bunch of measurements, and now we're setting the caster angle. So if you're looking dead into the side of the car like that, this is the kingpin. You want it angled back like that. That's caster. It's kind of like if you have a shopping cart and one of the front wheels is like wobbling all around, it doesn't have enough caster. If you lay it back just the right amount, it'll go in a straight line. So it's the same thing with front end alignment. So I think we're trying to eyeball about 8 degrees into it. Unfortunately, there's not a real flat spot to measure with a digital angle finder, so this is going to be a little bit of eyeballing.
This is really critical, super important. It's not as sexy as making sparks, but.
Okay, the leaf springs are hung, the caster is set, the axle is bolted to the springs. Next step is going to be putting weight on the axle so that we can figure out exactly where the steering box is going to get mounted to the frame and how the steering linkage is going to work.
I gotta say, we are killing it. So much has been accomplished today, and we are this close to having a complete front suspension and steering system if it weren't for the fact that we're missing shocks and pieces of the steering system. However, I am about to cut this shaft right here, which means we can then connect our steering wheel to our steering box, which means we can turn it. Beautiful.
You'll note that the lid of this thing actually does have a little bit of a wedge shape to it. So I'm gonna put it the right way, like so.
You'll note that I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna install this. Ah. Wow.
Things are progressing fast. The front suspension's together. Those guys got steering happening. Last night I got the tunnel ram installed and now carburetors. I really wanted Dominators on this thing just because they look right, but this engine is tame. It's low compression, has a tiny camshaft. It only makes about 525 horsepower. So we're gonna put a couple of Holley HP 750s on there, but it was critical that I get the old gold kind. I couldn't have the new silver kind. So I'm gonna bolt those up and then start the very daunting task of figuring out the tunnel ram throttle linkage. No matter how much you align the carb gasket, it's always wrong.
These two and these two are together.
Right, that's what freaked me out initially.
Oh man, look at this. Lion tunnel ram, dual Holley double pumpers, and one AED carb linkage kit for a big block Chevy, now adapted to the Chrysler Hemi right there. Yeah, that's gonna work. Linkage is done. Would you believe that in the year 2021, still nobody makes headers to put a Hemi and a Gremmie off the shelf? We gotta build them ourselves. That's what we're gonna do here. We have a kit from Hedman Headers that includes mandrel bent tubing. This is a 90-degree bend. We also have, I think that's 120 degrees. We even have 180-degree bends that we can chop up, weld together into these 3.5-inch collectors, and then connect all that to these laser cut flanges, and when we're done, voila, we have perfect fitting headers for our Hemi Gremmie. If you weld, I'll watch, maybe I'll get better. Okay. Oh, I'm so much better than I was 8 seconds ago. Well, pretty much they don't need me here anymore. Gotta be honest. He's that much better.
We're almost done putting our headers together from our kit that we have. It had plenty of all kinds of different bins that we needed. In fact, we have a bunch left over. All we really had to do was form the tubes into the header flanges, the primary tubes, for a rectangle hole. Yeah, it's going pretty good. I just have one tube left on this side. Mike's welding up his side, and we'll be done.
These guys made these in record time, like happened in a day.
Kind of had to. Nobody makes these to put a Hemi in a Gremmie.
So those guys made them, but we're gonna have the glory of installing them? Is that what this is?
I helped. I helped.
You helped?
Well, you can tell where I helped. it's a really nice header. Yeah, the one you're holding, that's the one Andrew did. This is the one I did.
Okay, you can tell?
Yeah.
Cool. Almost matching the blueprint. See? Fire.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle done.
Yep, that was big.
I'll start wiring. Here's a tech tip for you guys that gotta wire your own hot rod at home. I need to butt splice 2 wires together here. And this is your average everyday butt splice that you get from the auto parts store. And they work good. You put that in there, crimp it, and it's together, right? It's strong and it's good, but it's not the best way to insulate the joint. What you really want to do, if you care, is get a non-insulated butt splice, which looks like that. Put your 2 wires in there, crimp it together, and then slide a piece of shrink tubing over the whole thing. When you heat that up, it will insulate this really well. However, that non-insulated butt splice connection is hard to find, right? Most auto parts stores don't carry them, they carry these. But did you know there's a non-insulated butt splice hidden inside of this? All I do is use a screwdriver, put that in there, tap it again until it's out, and voila, you have a free, mostly, non-insulated butt splice. Here at Roadkill, we'll show you all kinds of ways to do things wrong, and then we'll just show you one god-awful way to do something right. You don't focus on that it's held here to here with electrical tape. You focus on fitting and put a fuse on it.
I'm really concerned about how this thing is gonna handle with all the weight on the nose and so much weight forward of the axle and everything, especially with these springs. So I wanted good shocks. The street rod shocks that were on here were like super flimsy. These are Ride Tech HQ by Fox. The reason I got these is because it's really hard to find such a short shock with performance valving. The street rod front ends like this always use a really short shock absorber, and this is the only one I could find that had the collapsed and extended links that were gonna work. And so Andrew's working on using the original upper mounts, and he's gonna just weld a shock stud to the front of the tube on the bottom. And these are adjustable, so hopefully we can make this thing drivable. Stuff is happening. I feel good.
Yeah.
But we're all freaking out because of the whole adapting the GM transmission to the Mopar engine thing. I had to get a special little adapter and bolts and stuff that isn't in there. So I think what we're gonna do now is rack it, pick it up, try and swap the trans out of it. I'll show you that in a minute, and make sure the adapter works and make sure the starter works. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. If we can't, we got 2 days to try and fix it, or
We lose the shop?
that's it. Joke never gets old. All right, let's pick it up. Now it comes time to fiddle around with the transmission. Here's what we got going. I have 2 Gearstar 4L80E transmissions. We had one mocked up in there, but unfortunately it was all electronic and it requires a computer to control it, and I wanted the Gremmie to be simple. And so this new one is full manual valve body, so it's gonna be much more violent. However, if you're gonna go full manual on your 4L80, you need to use a non-lockup converter. So that's something to pay attention to. So we also have a different torque converter. Now, the problem that we're running into here is that we're trying to adapt that 4L80 Chevy transmission to the back of a Mopar engine. There's parts you can buy to do this. Gearstar set me up with this Reed aftermarket bell housing. So you cut the stock bell housing off right here, and then you put on this adapter ring, and then you can use this bell housing. Then you have to go to a company called ATI and buy a couple more things. This is a Chevrolet style flex plate. The reason you need to use that is because a Mopar torque converter has the ring gear on the torque converter, and you need to have the ring gear on the flex plate to make this work. Second thing you need is this ATI little adapter and special bolts for it, because that changes, well, first of all, it sets the spacing correct, and it also changes it so that the snout of the GM converter will center and locate in the back of the Mopar crank. Long story short, our torque converter isn't going to fit with our whole arrangement here, so we're gonna have to make our own 1/4-inch aluminum spacer in order to fill that gap. So kind of a big hassle. While we're waiting for all of that, I'm messing around with the shifter. I went straight to the Hot Rod Garage shelf and stole from them a B&M Street Bandit, which is a little bit more zoomy in ability than I was hoping for, but it's gonna function. I think we're actually gonna hear this garbage run today. Those guys are bleeding brakes. Mike's cleaning up. I'm gonna start making a switch panel so I can finish the electrical job.
Look at that, the Hemi Gremmie is almost ready to run. It has been wired, it has been plumbed, it has a fuel system. What it does not have is a transmission, and we're gonna fix that problem right here, right now. We finally have our 1/4-inch thick 6061 piece of aluminum. This will become our spacer. We're gonna use our bell housing as a template. All we're gonna do is take a Sharpie, trace the bell housing onto the aluminum, cut that all out, and then, we need to figure out how to precisely, or as precisely as we can here on Roadkill, transfer the bolt pattern from the bell housing to the aluminum. Now, they make a nifty tool called a transfer point or transfer punch. Well, we don't have those. So I'm gonna show you how to make your own using just bolts you have laying around the shop and a few simple tools. Everything that clamps the trans to the motor takes a 7/16 bolt. The dowel pins, which are really what takes the torque of the motor and transfers it to the transmission, that's a 1/2-inch bolt. And then you come over here to this side, where the starter bolts, that's a 3/8 bolt. So we gotta do this 3 times. Step 1 is to cut the head off the bolt. Let's do this the ghetto fabulous way. Power drill. I suggest you use someone else's drill, not your own. Get yourself a zip tie so that you can activate the trigger remotely. This is high-tech stuff. You know, it's adjustable. 3 clicks, pretty good speed. We're gonna go 4. We're gonna step it up this time because we're in a hurry. We gotta build this car. All right, don't touch it with your hands, you know, just let it drop, right? It's really hot. Just hose it down with brake clean. We have 3 perfectly good transfer points for fixing that bell housing pattern in that aluminum. Let's go do that. Boom.
Totally not up to my standards of wiring, but Roadkill good enough. Okay, more difficulties here. You know when you install a torque converter, you get it all the way seated in the transmission, and then there's supposed to be like an 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch space between the flex plate and the converter, and you pull it forward? Well, that's the problem we're having. We've got no space to do that. We bottom our converter all the way in there, and it's bound up in between the transmission and the flex plate. See, the deal is we've got our old converter for our computer controlled transmission, which is lockup, and then we've got a non-lockup converter. They're different depths inside. You do this, that one's 7 inches. That one's 6 3/4 inches. So the stick out is a 1/4 inch more, which ends up in a bind. And so Finnegan already made that cool aluminum spacer that's a 1/4 inch thick to move the bell housing out because of that aftermarket Reed bell housing. And now we need to use this converter, and it needs another 1/8 of an inch. So those guys are gonna make a steel shim to go stack with the one that Finnegan already made, and then bolt it all together, and hopefully we have the space that we need. You know, this stuff just comes up when you're using aftermarket parts, especially when you're trying to do something nature never intended, like using a GM transmission on a 426 Hemi. We're going for it. We got a spacer in here, another one that goes on the block. It's gonna work.
Precision machining happened here. Why is it so high?
Why it won't go any lower?
Oh, why is that so short?
You want to roll it under and put the converter in?
Come on.
I'm excited about my full manual valve body. Thing's gonna bang. Muscle truck is great with full manual. The Gremmie will be better. That's it, right?
I hear clunking. Please work. This is the right trans, right? Because there's 2 of them.
Yeah. Okay, up, up. It's gonna, there we go. The snout is in. Now we need to tilt. This side needs to, okay, we're on, stop.
Oh, it's really gonna happen finally.
It's really gonna happen finally. Oh, next fail. The snout's keeping it from pulling forward. It's either hitting those bolts or it's bottoming the snout, one or the other. Okay, coming back out. The torque converter is hitting the bolts that are holding the flex plate to the back of the crankshaft now. Whoa, pouring ATF all over myself. Awesome. We got the transmission all the way up in there and seated against the back of the bell housing, and unfortunately the converter wouldn't slide forward because it's hitting the bolts in the back of the crankshaft, so now we're solving that. There you go. Assemble. Andrew ground a corner off every flex plate bolt, took a lip off the converter, and we think we have our clearance now. Here we go again. Up, up. There we go. All right, that gets bolts in. Once we've got it squared, the converter turns freely, and we've got about an 1/8 or 3/16 of pull forward. We did it. Now that the transmission is 3/8 of an inch further rearward since we measured the drive shaft, we're gonna find out if that sucker fits and if it hits this, which I think it doesn't. I'm gonna go cross off drive shaft. And trans install. Spacer handled. Is the starter fully installed?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're putting our seat belts in, and since it's a bunch of flimsy sheet metal on the floor here now, to do it safely, we're gonna weld in a couple pieces of flat steel across the floor here, and then we can bolt our seat belts to that.
This guy goes around here. I just routed it differently than I planned, so I'm not sure it's gonna fit. I'm about to get weld spatter down my back, aren't I? Next.
A couple of wires and a shifter and we're done, right?
We can't start it with no fluid in the trans.
Oh.
And the dipstick's here tomorrow.
I was looking forward to that.
I know.
Wait, hold on. What about one of these project cars behind us? Somebody's got to have a dipstick in their trans, right?
For a 4L80? I don't know. I mean,
I'm going surfing, hunting. Found it.
stole it?
Yep.
Good. I hope it was Hot Rod Garages.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
We're gonna have to cut more floor.
Is it in the ballpark?
Not even close. We have to cut the floor. I'm hacking more room in the firewall for a transmission dipstick tube. Look at all that comfort room I gave you. You might have to cut the bell housing bracket off of it since it's for a Chevy.
This needs customizing. Ooh, don't kink. Like clockwork, we are now getting roadkilled by stuff we're either missing, stuff we've stolen that doesn't fit, and stuff that never had a chance of working. So we're gonna move on to stuff we can accomplish, like making the exhaust system on our car work. We have 3-inch aluminized exhaust tubing, some mufflers, and we're gonna turn all of this into side pipes that will tuck neatly right up under the rockers of the Hemi Gremmie right here. Watch. Now that we've tack welded the whole exhaust system in place, somebody who is far superior than I at MIG welding is going to finish the job. I looked. I did it. What began life as an oil drum is now about to become our transmission tunnel cover for the Hemi Gremmie, thanks to a whole lot of cutting and welding and grinding. So part of the reason for using an oil drum is the very top of it has this nice rolled lip, and when you hack out your firewall and install this from the bottom up, that rolled lip gives the Hemi a really nice finished look here. So what I'm gonna do is pry it upwards into the hole, and once that beautiful rolled lip meets the top of the firewall, covering the hole, he can tack weld it in place and it'll look nice and finished like it was supposed to be there. Smoke it.
Remember all of that spacing the transmission back for the torque converter? Well, it made the drive shaft dangerously short, so we had half an inch taken out of it. So now I'm gonna install it for the last time for the second time. You gotta learn the shoulder walk to do this. Drive shaft in. That's a bam. Way better. You know, the problem with the drive shaft that's too long is with some rear suspension designs, when it compresses, it'll move the drive shaft forward into the transmission. And if it like punts the transmission, if the drive shaft bottoms on the main shaft, it can cause a lot of problems. Yay, front end. It's gonna look like a car again.
When this falls out during the drive, I will chuckle. Boom. Now it looks like a car.
Exactly like the blueprint on the back of the t-shirt. It's not often that a car comes together perfectly with your vision, but this one has.
This one is to scale.
It's really good. It is to scale, exactly. It's like a big Hot Wheels toy. Now's a good time to point out, once again, this thing is a street freak. It's not a drag car. It's not a gasser. It is a cruiser and burnout machine.
Ah, we have a dipstick. Dipstick. That list is rapidly changing into, well, 3 things. Switches, gauges, both of which Freiberger are doing, and headlights, which I'm gonna button up right here, right now in record time. Now, this is a special build, deserves a lot of attention, which is why I'm going the Christmas gift wrapping. What you wanna do here is make sure you have enough tape on the backside to get a solid base. She's ready for a road trip.
We are down to nothing but water and detailing it. Check out Matt going to town on the windshield cleaning because it's gonna drive soon. Look at that. I am stoked. This is unbelievable that we're at the end of the list. Thank you, Lucky, for putting a gas tank in this thing. Gotta have the Gremlin badge on there. So we're ready to crank it, get oil pressure, check leaks, and then fire it up. But first, I bought this car in 2007 or 2008. And I'm pretty sure that I've had the Hemi Gremmie idea since somewhere around there. It's been at least 10 years since the beginning of Roadkill when we had this thing. So we made it happen. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate all the labor you put into it.
Nice work.
Let's hope it actually drives. Ooh, do the brake lights work?
Nope.
What?
You don't need to stop, just go.
Cranking. That's bad.
We got fuel.
You have fuel in the squirters?
Yep.
Okay, plug it in. I'll fire it up and watch the oil pressure.
Okay.
All right, this is gonna be it. Did you plug in the distributor?
I did.
Should run.
Get after it.
Water pump, ignition, start. Hey, it runs.
Dude, it runs.
It's loud. It sounds weird. It's all side exhaust.
There's oil coming up through the tube. You had good pressure?
It has oil pressure for sure.
I don't see any leaks yet.
No leak, no leak,
Okay, wait.
no leak. It runs!
Wow. It looks so cool.
And finally, may we present to you the Hemi Gremmie.
It's gonna be so much fun to watch Andrew get in.
I'm getting in through the back window.
How's the leg room?
Oh, it's perfect. I'd be able to watch this. Bam.
That's messed up. You should have let Andrew
Just
get
hang
in
a
first.
foot out the window. Yeah, you're gonna have to get my leg here. Let me see if I can get a foot in here. I've been in the back of a Volkswagen.
Wow, that's uncomfortable.
Hey, if you turn your foot.
There you go.
There, we're in.
I'm in your lap.
I can't believe we have seatbelts.
Lucky you. It's all about safety.
I noticed you put the mechanical gauges right over my legs, so when the lines burst, I get hot water and hot oil right on me.
Well, you won't get water on you. Ready? We're going.
Do it.
Oh, it's nice and quiet in here, too.
You realize this car hasn't left this shop in years.
That's true.
Right? It's good.
And the Gremmie sees the light of day.
It's out.
Smoking a little bit. We're freaking people out already.
That'll buff out. Don't worry.
Brakes kind of work. It's got a lot of converter. Wow, we're driving it.
Yes, we are.
Boom.
Nice work, fellas.
Boom. Boom. And brakes.
It seems like it rides okay.
It's not bad with, 400 pounds in the back. Yeah, the converter is really loose.
I wonder if it's actually in first.
That's a good question because
It doesn't seem like it.
I don't think so. All the vital signs are pretty good.
Yeah.
Turn the fans on. Yeah, it does not seem like first. I agree.
Yeah, it seems like second or third.
Yeah. But let's find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh,
Way
it is.
better.
All right.
I was in overdrive.
Yeah.
I was smoking the Ford Trans.
Way better. Oh, yeah.
This shifter is not meant for that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't let that distract you from the fact that you have a line lock button on that shifter and we're at a stop sign.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Yes, it works. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's way spunkier. I had no
Way.
idea.
Take it out of overdrive. It's great.
Yeah. Turning radius is not as bad as it could be.
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
It's doable.
We're so high off the ground. This is so weird.
I know.
It's like a monster truck.
Yeah.
All right, ready for road trip?
Yes. This thing is a smoke machine.
Uh-huh. You cannot see around the tunnel ramp.
Turn right now.
It rides okay.
Yeah, not bad.
How's the temperature and stuff?
Good.
It's not smoking.
You did lift your gremlin, so don't be greedy.
Yeehaw!
Success.
It drives.
I
Huge
think
win.
That's the most successful test drive we've ever had leaving this shop.
That's because they built the car for us.
Touché.
All right, you
Now
guys
we
are stuck back there. We'll see you
Now
in
we
the
have to
morning.
get out.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Good
All
luck.
right.
Have fun.
All right, see you guys later.
Well, it probably needs some power valve help and all that stuff. But that's not happening.
Now, let's just make it run reasonably well, drive someplace really cool, and destroy tires.
That's all we're doing is going to the desert to do burnouts. And we've driven it around the block 3 times, and now we're getting on the 405 north. That's lean right there.
How do you like the backward shifter?
I don't at all. It'll be fine if it was meant for it, but it's not. I think the valve train noise is the exhaust springs hitting the valve cover. Whoa.
All right, here we go.
All right, freeway. 3rd gear.
How's it steer?
Okay.
It rides okay.
It's not that bad. But what are we doing, 45 or 50?
58.
58, okay. I don't trust it just yet, you know what I mean?
No, All I can think about right now is the extremely bad angle of our drive shaft.
Is it bad?
Oh yeah, but so far so good. Look at all these other normal people with their normal cars, like just driving, and all they're thinking about is where they're going. They're not thinking about how they're gonna get there.
Or if they'll die on the way.
Right. They're wondering who's texting them right now. They're not wondering if the transmission's gonna fall out of the car.
I never looked at the drive shaft angles. It's actually bad.
You feel the shaking? Pretty sure that's what that is.
I smell burning oil now.
That means it's got it. If it's leaking, it's got oil.
Okay, we have issues. Not too bad. It's running at about 210 degrees, which I don't like. We think we might have a wiring problem with the fan blowing the wrong way, the trans fan. And this thing is like super lean when you tip into it. Like starts to misfire, actually will die a little bit. And to fix that right, I need like power valves and a vacuum gauge and I could fix it. But instead, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of jet in it and make it super fat and fix it.
If you really want to get desperate, we could take what's left of the hood off. That move's been proven to work historically on Roadkill.
Somehow I think this vents quite a bit of air, but I could be wrong.
All right, so I'm gonna pull the fan.
Well, let me see if it's spinning the wrong way.
Oh, it is. I already felt it before.
Oh, you know that?
Yeah.
It's blowing forward?
It blows that way. Take the fuse out. It stops spinning, stop blowing air the wrong way, let the air go through it and get that last 10% of the radiator.
Do you have a 5/16 so I can break the carbs open? Thanks. See, I'm junk without Matt. What happened to Andrew?
Andrew has never driven on a Roadkill trip, and when we got off the freeway, he just kept going, and he's probably already there.
Probably. We dropped a pin at our expected burnout location, and he's probably there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's working perfectly.
Just wait for the stream. Look at that. Look at that. Ye of little faith.
Fat and happy is what it's gonna be. It's gonna blow black smoke, but it's hopefully not gonna overheat as much.
Nothing but the best for the Gremmie.
The reason why I stopped right here is this is where I used to street race as a teenager with the Super Bee and stuff. As a matter of fact, I think that's the tree right there that a friend of mine crashed into with his six-pack Challenger.
I got a good feeling about this.
Holy cow! It spins so good. It runs better. It did hesitate a little, but yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't break up that time.
Right. Okay, look at that. You sure that works? No way. Pull over. The water pump's not working. Finnegan loves to blow up Hemis, and he didn't want me to like miss out on that program, so he pulled the fuse on my fan and water pump.
Well, I pulled the fuse on the transmission cooler relay, and then I forgot that the relays for the electric water pump and the radiator fan are also getting power from all those things. So let me just put this back in and the car will stop overheating. Oh, it's fixed.
What do you know? Everything works now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Problem solved. I'm gonna hold this.
Yeah.
Just in case.
It only got to 230 in the period of about 30 seconds.
That was impressive.
That's not bad.
No, it did burn out fine though.
That's all that matters. We're off again and haven't been arrested yet.
Day's not over yet.
Everything on. We got alternator, we got power, we got Matt in the rescue position back there. We got oil pressures. Oh yeah, way better. That's better. But still really hot.
It keeps moving up and down. I think we're low on water now.
After the overheating, we obviously puked out some fluid, so we needed to stop and put coolant in it. And that's when I found out that our brand new inline fuel filter was leaking from the case. Nothing but quality parts these days. Junk. Bam! Didn't work.
Didn't work.
Yeah. Flashback to the episode where we dragged Blasphemy up to Oregon on the back of the Macho Grande, and I terrified Finnegan with that trick, and he hasn't been able to get me again since. So go ahead and pop that. Ah!
At least I didn't scream. I mean, I yelled, I pounded, it's still nothing.
We're putting actual coolant in it, trying to improve the surface tension of the water in here.
Ooh, surface tension. I just thought you were raising the boiling point.
That too.
Oh.
How much oil should be in this water?
Most of it?
We should just bypass the middleman and pour oil in the cooling system.
I mean,
might work.
I read somewhere you can do that.
Really?
Yeah, it improves surface tension.
There you go. I see what you did there. All right, we're out of here. Off to our secret mountain burnout facility.
Wow, that's a bumpy road. That actually rides pretty good.
It could be worse. It's a little jolty. It's very Jeep-like. How's the handling?
Whoa! What are you doing? It's not built for curves, homie. Oh my goodness. I want to live to actually do more burnouts.
Okay.
I was like, that's a corner. Why is he accelerating?
What if it's great?
It's definitely not. It's passable.
Oh, this is the old ridge route.
Yes. Wow, this is a mountain right here.
I am surprised how drivable it actually is.
It's a pretty darn good car for being built in like 10.5 days.
With a bunch of wrong parts that should not be working together. So I really wanted 3 things from this car, which was look amazing, which we nailed.
Yep.
Be pretty drivable, which I think we've already proven it is.
Oh yeah.
And do hellacious burnouts.
We have not proven that yet, sir.
That's what we haven't proven yet. But we will. And what's the priority here after all?
Smoke. Hit it. Oh my God, dude. That was bananas.
And it serves its third purpose. Yeah! Hemi Gremmie! Once in a while, a dream is realized on Roadkill, and this is it. I have been talking about the Hemi Gremmie for so long that at one point, I actually told the audience it would never happen. But you know what? The car is done, and it runs and drives even better than I expected. But let's be honest, my expectations were pretty low. And you've got to consider my opinion is pretty roadkill when you see that Andrew and Matt, who helped us build the car, wouldn't even ride in it after that first test drive. The car is absurd, and it nails that 1970s street freak look just like I was hoping for, and most importantly, it matches the t-shirt. So that's it for the Hemi Gremmie for now. We'll see you next time on Roadkill, where we dream up something even more ridiculous.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't aiming for you. Oh! Come on. No! Tell me you got it. No! Crossing off tranny fluid.